Good afternoon. Today we're going to do the Haftorah, Parshas Pikudei. It's in the, if you want to take a look in the Chumash over here. The Parsha speaks about the Mishkan, constructing the Mishkan, and the Haftorah speaks about building the Bet HaMikdash. So you have a similar theme. The Parsha speaks about constructing, building the Mishkan, and the Haftorah speaks about King Solomon building the Bet HaMikdash. So let's take a look at the Haftorah at the end of Pikudei. It's Perik Zayin, the Book of Kings, chapter 7. Vatishlam kol hamalacha. Okay, you can listen, it's fine. Vatishlam kol hamalacha asher asa hamelech Shlomo Beit Hashem. And it was when Vatishlam, what does Vatishlam mean? Finished. Leila Nishmas Tvida ben Chaim Pesach. Moving on up. Leila Nishmato. And Leila Nishmat Amichai ben Yaakov and Devorah. Leila Nishmat. And Lu Zalman Lev ben Moshe. Leila Nishmatam. Vatishlam kala melacha asher asa melech Shlomo. Thus was ended, finished, all of the work that the Melech Shlomo did, Bet Hashem, in the house of God. So in the Parsha you have all the work of the Mishkan was completed. In the Haftorah you have all the work of the Beis HaMikdash was completed. So according to Kabbalah, Vatishlam kala melacha, creation, Maisa Bereshis, is only completed when Shlomo Melech finished the temple. Vatishlam kala melacha osa melech Shlomo Beit Hashem, says the Zohar. When did God complete Maisa Bereshis? When Shlomo HaMelech finished the Beit HaMikdash. And the word Shlomo, which means what? Peace, is also the same root as the word Shlema. Complete. So Shlomo HaMelech, when he built the Beit HaMikdash, according to the Zohar, he completed creation. Wow. God creates, but we have to what? Complete.
Finish the job.
We have to finish the job. God purposely left the Bria undone. That's right. That we have to complete. It's a pasuk in Genesis 1. Asher bara lehim lasot. God created the universe lasot. What is lasot? For us to do. Shabara lekim. God created lasot, but we have to what? Complete it. Okay, so we have to complete it. So this is the symbolism of it. Tikkun olam. God left the world undone to give us the awesome opportunity to complete the world. And that's symbolized by building the Mishkan and also building what? The Bet HaMikdash. Now, if you look at the end of the Haftorah, he builds the Beis HaMikdash, and then he makes a prayer. Say a little prayer for me. He says a prayer. At the end of the Haftorah, Pasuk 15. Vayoyme Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem, he says. The end of the Haftorah, Pasuk 15. Vayoyme Baruch Hashem Elahei Yisrael. Blessed is God, the God of Israel. Asher diber bepiv es David avi ubiyodai mile lemor. He fulfilled his word to my father David. My father David. You hear?
He says he spoke with his mouth to my father David.
Right.
Did he speak to him by mouth?
What?
Did he speak to
Shlomo Melech was also a Navi. But what did he tell his father David? Pasuk 16. Minayom asher tzesi es ami es Yisrael b'Mitzrayim loy bacharti be'ir b'kol shiftei Yisrael livnois bayit l'shmi v'sham ve'efchar b'David lios al ami Yisrael. So what's he saying in 16? From the day I took the Jews out of Egypt, I didn't choose any tribe to rest my Shekhinah, to build a temple only where? But I chose David to be king over my people Israel. Pasuk 17, Vahi im levav David avi. Pasuk 17 was in the heart of my father David to build a temple. But God told him in verse 18, no. God told him that what? You cannot build a temple. Your son will build a temple. Now, we have a halacha, Mickey, you're not allowed to call your parent by his name, not even after death. Shlomo Melech was an Orthodox king, wasn't he? How does he call Ruvain his father David? he keeps referring to his father David. Halacha says you're not permitted to call a parent by name, not even after the parent is dead. It's not kibbut av v'em. So how? I think Solomon was Orthodox king, right? I think so. So, Reuven, how does he keep calling David Avi, David Avi? So the answer is you can't call your father by the name, but if you say Avi, if you say what? Avi David, or David Avi, you're covered. As long as you give him a title, then you're permitted. You just can't call a parent even after death by his name, but if you mention that he's my father or my mother, then you're permitted, and therefore Shlomo was in halacha because he didn't say just David, he said what? David Avi. He keeps saying David Avi, and that's Beseder.
Yeah, but Rabbi,
Yes?
when we ask you to make a bracha, we call our father or mother by name.
So you say your father, but it's exactly the point. Once you say it's my father, it's okay.
I wouldn't say Yaakov HaKohen.
You say my father Yaakov. Versteh. Kapish? That's the heta. You can't mention your parent name, but if you say my father Yaakov, or my mother's name was Rivka, my mother Rivka, I'm covered. I just can't say her name. But if I give a title, that's what Solomon is teaching me. If you give a title, it's okay. Then you're not breaking the kibbut av v'em. Okay? So, Pasuk 19 says that King David is not permitted to build a Beis HaMikdash. He's not permitted to build a Beis HaMikdash. For whatever reason, God would not allow him.
I heard 2 reasons.
Okay, whatever, I don't want to get into it now, but he was not allowed to build a Beis HaMikdash. He was not. So the question is, why does Tehillim Perik Lamed say, Mizmor Shir Chanukat Habayit LeDavid? A psalm of the dedication of the temple to David. David didn't build a temple. It says here clearly in Pasuk 19 that David is not allowed to build a temple. Rather, his son will build a temple. David was not permitted to build a temple for whatever reason. I don't want to get into it now. So the question is, Elisheva, why does Psalm 30 say a song, Mizmor Shir Chanukat Habayit LeDavid? It should say Chanukat Habayit Le Shlomo. Okay? So that's the question. And more important, what's the message for us? Because the Torah is GPS. What's the message over here? David was not permitted to build a temple, and yet Psalm 30 says it's David's temple when it says he was not permitted. So to answer this question, we have to what? Ask another question, and this is how we're going to tie it in to the Parsha, and we're all going to tie it into current events, of course. If you look at the Parsha, this is on Exodus 40, Pasuk 17. It says, Hukam HaMishkan, the end of the verse. The Mishkan was raised up. The Mishkan was raised up, so Rashi explains it was much too heavy, they could not raise up the Mishkan. It was a miracle to raise itself. And the very next pasuk says, Vayokam Moshe et HaMishkan. There seems to be a contradiction. In Exodus 40, you could look it up, you don't have to believe me, pasuk 17 says it was in the first month, in the second year after the Exodus, Hukam HaMishkan. How does the English translate that, Yehuda?
The tabernacle was erected.
Was raised up by itself. So the Medrash says, Avi...
It doesn't say directly right up by itself.
Well, the Medrash says that. I'm not a Karaite. The Medrash says that it was too heavy and the Mishkan raised itself. And the very next pasuk, verse 18 says what? Vayokam Moshe et HaMishkan. Help that Moshe what? Raised up the Mishkan. So there seems to be a contradiction. It was too heavy, and yet Moshe raised up the Mishkan. So what's the answer? The answer is, what's the GPS? What's the message? In life, do your best and let God do the rest. Since Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to raise up the Mishkan as much as possible, he gave it his best shot. Machshava tova, Rumain, Hagish Baruch HaMatzarev L'Maaseh. So therefore, Yokam Moshe et HaMishkan, even though he couldn't do it, but he gave it his best, so the Torah gives him what? Full credit. Vayokam Moshe et HaMishkan. Moshe raised the Mishkan. This connects to the Haftorah. King David wanted to build the temple. With all of his might, he collected treasures, and he made all of his shtadlut. God prevented him. But Psalm 30 gives him credit as if he did it. What's the message in life? Many people are disappointed, they're bitter. If you try your best to do a worthy project, really your best, and you don't succeed, in God's eyes, it's a done deal. Don't be depressed. Hukam HaMishkan v'yokam Moshe HaMishkan. Moshe couldn't do it, and yet God says he did it. He tried his best. Let God do the rest. Solomon, David HaMelech, was not permitted to build a temple, but he tried his best. Our mission is to accomplish. That's up to God. All right? So this is a powerful message in life. Do your best and let what? God do the rest. Powerful message in life. It's not ancient history. Chanoch, it's GPS.
It's easier said than done.
Okay, well, you do your best. Only God knows if you, and you get full credit. So you do your best for a worthy project. It doesn't work out, God will give you full credit. How do I know? Hukam HaMishkan v'yokam Moshe HaMishkan. David was not allowed to build a temple in this Haftorah, and yet Psalm 30 says, Chanukat habayit LeDavid. Say what? It's not a typo. Powerful message in life. Now, let's get to current events, If you look at Exodus 39, Pasuk 42 and 43. Okay, I'll wait. It's important to see it inside. Exodus 39, Pasuk 42 and 43. Anybody want to read that in English?
According to all that the Lord commanded Moses, so the people of Israel made all the work. And Moses looked upon all the work, and behold, they had done it as the Lord had commanded, so had they done it.
But I'm not hard of hearing. You told me already in verse 42 that they did exactly what Hashem commanded Moshe, so they did, the Jews. So why repeat in verse 43, they did exactly as the Lord commanded they did. They did. Mr. Samuels, 18 times it says this. 18 times it says they did exactly what Hashem commanded Moses. I'm not hard of hearing, Baruch Hashem. So you tell me to Shalmi Brachos asks, why is this phrase repeated 18 times? Remember that song by Frank Sinatra? I did it my way. But the Torah says, da-da-da-da, do it God's way.
Don't do it Moshe's.
Do it God's way.
Do it Moshe.
Kasha Chief. Moshe is just a shliach. So the Yishalmi Brachos chapter 4 says that the reason Anshe Knesset Hagdola instituted the Shmone Esrei, what is Shmone Esrei? 18 brachot, is to correspond 18 times. It says the Jews did exactly as God commanded Moshe. So they did. They didn't want to do it my way, but God's way. Some people at the Kotel forget that. They want to worship God their way. But the Torah says, not your way, Hashem's way. Amen. Powerful that the Parshas of the week always speaks to current events. You have noble intentions. You want to improvise and change the service. The Jews they did exactly, and the Torah has to repeat 18 times. The GPS today, Yehuda, GPS, God's personal system, 18 times did exactly what Hashem, even though they felt maybe they can do it better, my way. Avi, it's not my way, it's the highway. No, it's God's way. Remember that song by Old Blue Eyes? Doing it my way? Judaism teaches that we should do it what? Hashem's way. But some people say, don't confuse me with the facts. Okay?
So why doesn't it just say Hashem Siva? Zero. Moshe.
Because Moshe was a shliach. Because we have to have emunas chachamim. We have to have emunas chachamim. That's why. We have Ma'iminu B'Hashem or Moshe Avdo. We don't know what God says. We rely on emunas chachamim. Tradition. God doesn't speak to me, but he speaks to the Chachamim. So Vayiminu b'Hashem u'b'Moshe avdo. We have the holy sages. Not what people want to think and they makes me feel good, do it. If it makes me feel good, do it. No. We have to follow Emunas Chachamim. Kasher tziv Hashem et Moshe. Vayiminu b'Hashem u'b'Moshe avdo. It's not enough to believe in God. Otherwise, he would say, Vayiminu b'Hashem. How come it has to add the kicker of Moshe avdo? Emunas Chachamim. But some people off the wall, they were saying, we don't care about the Chachamim. We know better than the Chachamim. Nebuch. But anyway, let's go to Exodus 40, Pasuk 27. Exodus 40, Pasuk 27. Vayakta olav ketoret. So the Medrash Tanchuma says that the highest service in the Bet HaMikdash, of all the services, was the ketoret. If you look at the word ketoret in verse 27, see that, Elisheva? Exodus 40, verse 27, we got to look in the Hebrew. He burned incense. Ketoret means incense. And the Medrash Tanchuma says that's the highest service in the Mishkan. Madua v'lama, because the word ketoret, if you look at the Hebrew word ketoret, it's an acronym, Avi. You know what acronym means? FBI, CIA, NYPD. The word ketoret is an acronym, says the Medrash. The Kaf stands for Kiddusha. The Tet stands for Tahara. The Resh stands for Rachamim. And the Tov stands for Tshuva. That's Judaism's goal. Kiddusha, Tahara, Rachamim, and Tov Tikva, Tshuva. Because believe Tikva, you can't do Tshuva. Satan's trap is, you're such a lowlife. You're going to do tshuva? It's too late. It's too late now. It's too late. So a person cannot do tshuva unless he has tikva. What does tikva mean? Hope that it's never too late. God will always accept us if we do tshuva. Don't fall for Satan's trap and take away your tikva. Satan says, you're such a lowlife, you'll never make it anyway. Stay in the discotheque. So Yahadut teaches tikva, because without tikva, it's impossible to do tshuva. So the word... What? Okay, you're right. Nachon?
And the burn is the Ketor.
Vayakte means to burn, ketoret, again, Kiddusha, the same word. To burn ketoret, Kiddusha, Tahara, Rachamim, and Tikva, Emunah. Very good, right? Because without Tikva and Emunah, you can't do tshuva. Why get out of bed in the morning? Everybody makes mistakes, right? Mishlei says, Sheva yipal tzaddik. The tzaddik will fall 7 times. The tzaddik will fall 7 times. So why is he called a tzaddik? The next word says, v'kam. V'kam. V'kam.
What's special about falling 7 times?
Well, 7 in the, Evan Ezra says 7 in Tanakh means many. Yes, good thing you came today. Evan Ezra says, when Mishlei says the tzaddik will fall 7 times, many times he falls. So why is he called a tzaddik? Because he doesn't give up tikva. He keeps getting up. Everybody falls. But the Rasha loses hope. The tzaddik falls, but he doesn't give up tikva. Sheva yipol tzaddik. And it's just amazing that the Medrash says that the Shivas Yemei HaMeluyim, during the 7 days of inauguration, Moshe put up and tore down the Mishkan. Shivas Yemei HaMeluyim, the 7 days of dedicating the Mishkan, Moshe put it up and he took it down. Moshe put it up and took it down. How many times? Koinky dinky? That symbolizes Sheva Yipol Tzaddik. The Tzaddik will fall 7 times, v'kam. So to symbolize that, Moshe tore down the Mishkan and rebuilt it 7 times. No koinky dinky, says the Medrash. Symbolizing Sheva Yipol Tzaddik. Why is he a tzaddik if he keeps falling? V'kam. Because he doesn't give up tikva. The Rasha and the tzaddik equally fall. The only difference is the Rasha gives up tikva. Right? He cops out. There's no hope for me anyway. That's a Rasha. The tzaddik falls, but he keeps getting up. What's the proof? The Mishkan. Moshe set it up and he tore it down 7 times. Don't give up hope. That's the powerful message of the Mishkan. If you go back to Exodus 35, go back last week's Parsha. Again, there's so many messages that people think it's ancient history, Chas v'Sholom, but it's GPS. You go back to Exodus 35, Pasuk 5. Exodus 35, 5. In this class, you have to have nimble fingers. It says, K'chu me'itchem truma l'Hashem. Exodus 35, 5, Elisheva. What does it say?
It says, take from yourselves a portion for Hashem.
It should say, give from yourself a portion to Hashem. The Ramban asked the question, it shouldn't say, K'chu me'itchem truma l'Hashem. It should say, Yehuda, you know Hebrew now, Tenu me'itchem. Tenu me'itchem, give a portion to Hashem. You're giving a portion. How come it says take? Says the Ramban something incredible. He says, Al derech ha'emet besod. When the Ramban gets Kabbalistic, he says, Al derech ha'emet besod. On the way of truth in secret, he quotes the Pasuk in Parshas Truma, the Yikchu li Truma. It should say the Yitnu li Truma. But it says what? The Yikchu li Truma. Says the Ramban, what's the message? When you give tzedakah, you're taking God, kaviyachol. You're taking God, the Shekhinah, with you. And therefore it says not the Yitnu li Truma, give me Truma, the Yikchu li Truma. That when you give tzedakah, kaviyachol, you're taking HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So says the Ramban. So when you're giving, you're actually what? Taking. Who? The boss. Wow. Pretty interesting, right?
But it's like the word, but not you.
But it should say v'nitnu, but it says v'yikchu, and it should say tenu, and it says k'chu. So Ramban says al derech ha'emet besod. When you give tzedakah, kavayochel, you are what? You're giving, but you're actually taking kavayochel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? The Queen of England asked Rothschild how much money he had. Not this Rothschild, the old Rothschild. It's a true story, the Queen of England. And he gave a sum. And the Queen said, that's all you have? But you have multi-millions. So he answered her, Mayor Rothschild, you asked me what I have. What I have in the bank, I don't have that, because after 120 years, the kids will go to the lawyer's office and fight over it. You asked me what I have. What I have is what I gave to tzedakah. That's what I have. What I have in the bank, it's not mine. I'm only watching it for 120 years, and then the fun begins. You hear what he told the Queen? You can look it up and Google it. Mayor Rothschild. I have what I gave for tzedakah. That's what I took for me. That's mine forever. So this.
It's nice to watch it for a while, though.
What? To watch it, to babysit it. What? To babysit it. So this is the idea. This is the idea of why it says K'chu me'itchem and not tenu, and not the yikchuli, and not what? The yitnuli, right? Because when you're giving tzedakah, you're actually what? Taking HaKadosh Baruch Hu, kavayochel.
It's like the word, but not new.
Backwards, you're right. The word v'natnu.
You can read it backwards.
That's right. When you're giving, you're getting. Nachon?
Yes.
Now look at Exodus 35, please. Pasuk 32. Exodus 35, Pasuk 32. The Hebrew, I don't know how the English translates that. Exodus 35, Pasuk 32. How does the English say that?
To weave designs and work with gold, silver, and copper.
Doesn't say that. It says, you see, you can't trust the English. Chanoch. It says, v'lachshov machshavot. To think thoughts. That's what it says. Pasuk lamed bet, Elisheva. What does the English say? Well, you're English.
To weave designs.
It's ready.
No, Elisheva, no. Ask Ulpan teacher tonight. It's Sunday. You're gonna ask you Ulpan. Lachshov. How do you say computer? How do you say computer in Hebrew? Machshev. The computer thinks for you. You see, you can't trust the English. It's amazing.
Devise.
What?
This is devise.
Lachshov machshavot. To think thoughts. Lasot, what to do. Bazov ubakesef ubanachoshet. What does that mean, Mickey? We know the Torah is not ancient history, it's GPS, God's personal system. Lachshov machshavot. A person has to think carefully what to do with his gold and silver.
That's good.
What to spend my gold and silver on. What's important in life. What to do with your wealth. Spend it constructively or on shtuyot. Wow. Lachshov machshavot. You have to think and think again carefully. Lasot, what to do. Bazov ubakesef. How to spend your wealth. Not on shtuyot, but on what? On positive things. Powerful message. And therefore, last Shabbos we read Parshas Shkalim, the Machtas HaShekel. Rashi quotes the Midrash, God showed Moshe Matbeya Shel Esh. He showed him a fiery coin and he says, duplicate it. Why did he show him a fiery coin for? Was the Machtas HaShekel made out of fire? It was made out of silver. So why didn't God show him a silver coin?
Could be good or bad.
Beautiful.
Good or bad.
Beautiful. God was telling Moshe that the shekel, money, is like fire. It can be constructive or it can be destructive. It depends how fire, i.e. money, is handled. If it's handled right, very constructive. But money can be very destructive, like a raging fire, if you don't think carefully. Lachshov machshavot. Many people were ruined when they won the lottery. They were ruined.
I know.
It destroyed them. Yeah, what did Tevye say? Oh, give me that disease. Tevye. Right? Tevye said, right? Right? If I was a rich man, yidle deedle. Don't get me started. Lachshov machshavot. Lasot. Bazov, ubakesef, ubanachot. You have to think and think again what to do with your gold and silver. The money shouldn't destroy you like a devouring fire. Many people who've won the lottery, they just couldn't handle it. It destroyed them.
And the whole family.
Right? And the whole family broke up, had marriage, just couldn't handle it. Right? Lachshov machshavot. What to do with wealth? To spend it wisely. Now, the Zohar says something incredible. It fascinates you. I'm over 40. We can quote the Zohar. I don't know if you're over 40. Lachshov machshavot, to think what to do. Bazov ubakesef ubanachoshet. Says the Zohar, Zov represents Chachma, Kesef represents Bina, and the Choshet represents what? Dat. Chachma, Bina, Dat. That's Chabad. Looks like God was a Chabadnik. You know, like it? The Zohar said so, not me. Zov, Chochma, Bina, Dat. That's the highest Kabbalistic spheres. The top three. The top three. We only count the 7 during the 7 weeks between what? But the top 3, right, are Chochma, Bina, Dat, Chabad. So Zov represents Chachma, Kesef represents Bina, Nechosha represents Dat. What's the acronym? Chabad. Lachshov machshavot. To get Chochma, Bina, and Dat. Not so pashut. Very interesting, right? Not so simple. Lachshov machshavot. Now you have the same idea with the menorah. As we said before, if you look at Exodus 37, Pasuk 17, Exodus 37, Pasuk 17, Vayas et ha-menorah. He made the menorah. Who's the he? Moshe B'Tzalel. But back in Parshas Terumah, it says Teyaseh ha-menorah. He couldn't make it. In Parshas Terumah, it says Teyaseh ha-menorah. The menorah made itself. So we have 2 conflicting texts, Elisheva. In Parshas Terumah, it says Teyaseh ha-menorah. And Rashi quotes the Midrash. Moshe B'Tzalel couldn't figure it out. Even though B'Tzalel went to the school of architecture named after him, he couldn't figure it out. So Parshas Terumah, it says Teyaseh ha-menorah from itself. And over here it says what? Vayas et ha-menorah. Here it says what? He made the menorah. So again you have what? Again you have what? A conflict. So what's the answer? Same idea in life. Machshava tova, Kodesh Baruch Hu mitzarev lamaseh. Moshe B'Tzalel did their best. They tried to make the menorah. They tried and they tried again. Once they did as much as they can do, God says, I'll take over, but I'll give you full credit. Many people in life, they labor, right, Manny? They labor to accomplish good things, and it doesn't work out, and they're disappointed. They shouldn't. They have to know, if you do your best, only God knows that, God will make believe, Chanoch, as if you did it. How do I know? Vayaset ha-menorah, vayokom et ha-mishkan. Powerful message. People think it's ancient history. Chalila, gives a person the chizuk. How do you say that in English? Chizuk, strength. People try to accomplish and they don't. They shouldn't feel bad. In God's eyes, Avi, it's what? A done deal. How do I know? It says, Vayaset ha-menorah. In Parshas Truma, it says, Teyoseh ha-menorah. Not a contradiction, yes?
Why do they not translate menorah? They say he made the lampstand.
Oh, the lampstand. Why can't they just say menorah?
That's what I'm asking.
I don't know. You got to ask the translator. Philip Birnbaum, Zecher Tzadik Levracha. He's not around anymore. I don't know. How does the art scroll translate verse 17? Menorah, right? So why do they say the lampstand? I don't know. Why can't they just, what? What?
The whole paragraph calls it a lampstand.
A lampstand, right? But it's a menorah. It's not a lampstand, right? It's,
The menorah is not a translation.
the menorah is what?
It's not a translation.
It's the direct
It's
word.
a menorah.
That's the Hebrew.
It's not a what?
No, it's the Hebrew word,
It's
menorah.
Hebrew, it's not English.
That's
Yeah.
It's transliterated. In English, it's lampstand.
Yeah.
Translation would be candelabra.
Yeah. But
Well,
he
it's
has-
not really.
Now, if you just come to hear this, you look at last week's Parsha, Exodus 37, verse 8. I wonder how the English translate that. Exodus 37, verse 8.
One cherub from the end.
No, Exodus 38, Slicha. Slicha. Exodus 38, verse 8. 38, 8.
Made the labor of copper and the space of copper, and the mirrors of legions who massed at the entrance of the meeting.
Oh, close, pretty good.
What
Huh?
are you reading? That's not what my book.
What does your book have?
This is the
38, 8.
He made the copper basin and its copper base out of the mirrors belonging to the women who served at the entrance of the tabernacle.
Well, that's literally what it says. Vayaset akir, he made the wash basin and the base of the copper mirrors of the armies. B'marot tzava. What does tzava mean? Army. The mirrors of the armies that conjugated at the Petach Ol Moed. So what does that mean? The mirrors of on the ancient world, they didn't have any glass mirrors. They used copper mirrors. If you go to the Israel Museum, you can see today, from that time, Avi, the Egyptian mirrors made out of brass and copper. So it's amazing Rashi here. Rashi says that the Jewish women had brass mirrors in their makeup kit. And they used to use those mirrors in order to what? Make themselves pretty for their husbands. And even such an intimate item as a mirror, when the call came, we need brass and copper, the women donated their shiny brass mirrors. And Moshe Rabbeinu Moes, what does Moes mean? He rejected, he said, Feh, take it back. You use these mirrors to make yourself sexy, to entice men. I don't want any part of your brass mirrors for the Beis HaMikdash. Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So God said, Kabel, ki elu chavivin alai min hakol. These brass mirrors are more precious to me than any gold Rolex watch the chief rabbi would bring. Moshe was shocked. He said, Feh, take it away. You use these to make yourself sexy. It doesn't belong in the Mishkan. So God said, Kabel, ki elu chavivin alai. These are more beloved to me min hakol. Why? Through these mirrors, the women raised up tzavot rabot b'Mitzrayim. The word tzava, Yehuda. Tzavot rabot b'Mitzrayim. They raised up an army of babies in Egypt. What does that mean? So when Rashi quotes the Midrash, the men were exhausted. They were broken physically and spiritually, and they wouldn't let them come home at night. So the women would sneak out to the fields with picnic baskets and makeup kits, and they would make themselves pretty, put on makeup, and they would entice their husbands. What does that mean? They would bring their husbands to desire them sexually, and they had relations, and they raised up an army of Jewish babies. These mirrors, b'marot hatzvaot, the mirrors that were responsible for an army of Jewish babies being what? Produced. Right? And therefore there's a pasuk in Shir Hashirim, chapter 8, Tachat hatopuach orarticha. Avi, what does that mean? Shir Hashirim, chapter 8, Tachat hatopuach orarticha. Underneath the apple tree I aroused you. Who's saying that to whom? Mrs. Schwartz to Mr. Schwartz.
That it was the Andrews.
Not the Andrews sisters. Tachas hatapuch orarticha. Underneath the apple tree I aroused you. We read Shir Hashirim every Friday afternoon, no? Right? So they made the brass mirrors. They used it to make the kior. What's the kior? The wash basin that the Kohanim would use to wash their hands and feet before they did the avodah. And also a woman that was suspected of adultery, she'd have to drink the waters of this kior. Why? She'd have to stare at this kior and meditate. Where did these kior come from? My righteous grandmothers, who dolled themselves up for their husbands, not for the milkman. Or postman always rings twice. A woman suspected of adultery has to study the kior. Right? A woman should be sexy and pretty just for a husband, but not for somebody else. So therefore, a woman suspected of adultery was given this water to drink from, this kior, to meditate on this mirror and learn the lesson that beauty should be used, what? Constructively and not destructively. But Victor Miller Zatzal says something amazing. He said it's Olam Hafuch Yehuda, it's upside down world. He says, when a woman goes out into the street, she dresses to kill. She dresses to and puts on fancy sheitel, makeup, puts on nice tight dress. And in the house, she's wearing a house coat with face cream when the husband comes home. It says, Olam Hafuch. When she goes out into the street, she should wear a house coat and a shmata over her head. In the house, when hubby comes home, dressed to kill. Avigdor Miller Zechat Tzadik Aracha. It's an upside down world, right? In the house, she's walking around with what? With curlers in her hair, face cream, a house coat. Oh, it's only my husband, right? When she goes out into the street, she dresses to kill. So this is the message of these Marat Hatzavot. So just amazing what Rashi is saying, that the entire Exodus only happened because of these mirror ladies. If it wasn't for the mirror ladies, there'd be nobody to redeem. The men threw in the towel. Why have babies? They'll wind up in Auschwitz, the bottom of the Nile River. It's over. But the mirror ladies, they wouldn't give up. Hope, tikva.
This book says that they then made the laver,
the wash basin,
which held the water.
Right.
The priest washed it.
That's right.
Was made from these mirrors.
That's right. Right. From these brass mirrors, the Kohanim washed their hands and feet, but also when a woman was suspected of adultery, assault a woman, she would be given to drink waters from this brass mirror, again to meditate that she did not follow in the footsteps of a righteous grandmother who made themselves pretty for the husband and not for a strange man. Some men are pretty strange. Right? Some men are pretty strange, okay? So, a woman has to know that her beauty is only for her husband. But it's amazing what Rashi is saying, that the entire Exodus happened only because of these mirror ladies. Because if it wasn't for these ladies raising up an army of Jewish babies, there'd be nobody left to redeem. The men were ready to throw in the towel. The Gemara on Sotah, page 12, says even Amram divorced his wife, the chief rabbi of Israel. Divorced his wife. Why have babies? They'll wind up in the bottom of the Nile River. So little Miriam said, Abba, your decree is worse than Stalin. I mean, worse than Pharaoh, because Pharaoh only decreed what? Only the boys. By divorcing mommy, you are preventing girl babies from being born. So the chief rabbi of Israel, he should have said, go do your homework. You're giving me, go wash Sesame Street. What are you telling me? He gave her a kiss, and he listened to her, and he remarried Yocheved, and who was born? Moshe. If it wasn't for little Miriam, no Moses.
Wow.
No Moses. And the Gemara Sotah 12 says, once Amram divorced his wife, the chief rabbi divorced his wife, all the Yidden divorced their wives. Why have babies to wind up in Auschwitz? Solution to the Jewish problem. No more Jewish problem. Finished. So when Amram listened to little Miriam and remarried Yocheved, all his Hasidim, they also what? Remarried and put on makeup with the mirrors, the makeup kit, and this was an army of Jewish babies. Wow. So if it wasn't for the righteous mirror ladies of the Exodus, there'd be nobody left to redeem. It's just amazing, just amazing.
So
that
upside down, it's the people in the world that's upside.
That's right. The 3 times the Jewish people were in peril. Pesach, Purim is coming up. Hanukkah, the miracle happened through the righteous women. Purim was Esther, Hanukkah was Yehudis, here Mitzrayim was the entire generation. Women are much more spiritual. Women have a Bina Yetera. How do you say that in English? Bina Yetera. They're more in touch with... Just amazing. These women knew better. Moses says, Feh, take away the mirrors. You're making yourself sexy. It's the Yetzer Hara, take it away. God said, Kabel. Moses, take a pill and lie down. These mirrors are more precious to me than any gold watch the chief rabbi would bring. Kabel, ki elu chavivin alai min hakol. These mirrors are more precious to me than anything, because these mirrors the ladies use to entice hubby, to raise up an army of babies. Otherwise, God would have nobody to redeem. Isn't that amazing?
Wonderful.
And therefore, 7 weeks later at Matan Torah, God says, Ko toma lebet Yaakov, v'taged lebnei Yisrael. Mr. Samuels says, Rashi, who are the Bet Yaakov? The women. The Bnei Yisrael, the sons of Israel. God is a gentleman. Rashi says so. The ladies first. Why did God address the women first?
So when did it change?
He's makit, it never changed. Ladies first. Kol toma lebet Yaakov. First speak to the women and give them the Torah, and only then the men. Because God is makir toiv to the women. Because if it wasn't for the women, there'd be nobody left to redeem, and there'd be nobody left to give the Torah to. Wow.
Why the women are reading the Torah in the Kotel?
What? No, so that's the whole. No, but that's the whole idea. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. See, never these women off the wall. They got it backwards. They never have it backwards. I'm telling you, they have it backwards. Rabbeinu Bachai, the great Kabbalist. I don't think he was a feminist. I don't know. The great Rabbeinu Bachai in the 1100s says, how come women are released from so many positive mitzvahs? And why women don't have to daven with a minyan? He says the word mitzvah, you can ask your Ulpan teacher, the root tzav means to bond. The word mitzvah, the root is tzav. You can check it out with your Ulpan teacher. It means to bond. Says Rabbeinu Bachai, we need all of the mitzvahs to help us bond with God. Says women are naturally bonded. They have a bina yetera. They don't need all that extra bonding of talis and tefillin. We need the props to help us bond with Him. Women, says Rabbeinu Bachai, Chanoch, are naturally bonded. So if a woman puts on talis and tefillin, she's lowering herself. Yehuda, you with me on this? She doesn't know that. And the same thing with a minyan, says Rabbeinu Bachai. Why do we daven with a minyan? To be metakein the chet of the 10 spies. The 10 spies made a terrible chilul Hashem. They slandered God and Pisgat Zev. So Rabbeinu Bachai says that we get together with a minyan, Omen Yehesh Be'Rabah, we're Mekadesh Shem Shemayim. What's the tikkun for chilul Hashem? Kiddush Hashem. So we need 10 men to be metakin for the 10 Meraglim who desecrated God's name in public. So we have to get together and sanctify God's name in public with a minyan. Says Rabbeinu Bechai, but women never sin with the 10 spies.
No way.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if a woman puts on talis and tefillin and davens with a minyan, she's demeaning herself.
Yeah.
Who says this? Not me. Rabbeinu Bechai says this. Some say Rabbeinu Bachya. Rabbeinu Bachya. Not only cross-dressing, but they're lowering themselves. It's not Purim. We never need a minyan and the props of talis and tefillin to bond with him. Never. Women are naturally bonded. They don't need the props of talis and tefillin. They don't need the minyan. But by acting like a man, they don't realize they're lowering themselves. Buddy, Rabbeinu Bechai says this. Well, was he a feminist? I don't know. He lived in the 1100s. I don't know. Great Mukubal. So we got to straighten out, Nebuch. Again, the idea, God says, do it my way. 18 times it says what? Do it my way. Kain Osu and Kain Osu. They did exactly over and over again because some people say they'd rather do it my way, right? When it comes to Judaism, we have to do it God's way. And what's God's way? What the holy sages say. But never these women off the wall, they say, who are the sages? We know better. They know better. It's been good for 3,300 years, Chanoch. They know better. So their great-grandmothers were wrong. These women off the wall, what are they saying? Their great-grandmother and great-grandfathers were wrong. They've been doing it wrong. We know better. It's the height of arrogance. You know better than your great-great-grandmother, great-great-grandfather? You know better than the great sages? It's the height of arrogance.
It's like saying, well, I'm sorry, we have this minhag. This is our minhag from my great-great-grandfather. No, we don't do that.
We don't do it today. We know better. That's the worst type. That's a form of arrogance, which is a form of idolatry, don't you think? Yeah. Self-worship. I'm going to worship my intellect. I know better than the Chachamim. I know better than 3,300 years of Masorah. The height of arrogance. A little humility. No. And at the Kotel yet, the holiest place, to make such a chil Hashem, but the Gemara says in Brachot, Ashchina loizaz mi kotel hamaravi. Ashchina loizaz mi kotel hamaravi. Doesn't say the Harabayis. The Gemara in Yuma says the Shechina left the Harabayis. But you can look it up. Tractate Yuma, page 9. It says the Shechina left the Harabayis. And where is it parked, Mr. Samuels? The Kotel. Good thing you came today. Tractate Yuma. So the Tractate Yuma says it. So I know better. The Shechina left the Harabayis. The Gemara in Yuma says the Shechina is now at the Kotel Maravi. So there's no need to go up to the Harabayit. But some people say, don't confuse me with the facts. I know better. I know better. Right?
That's good, Rabbi.
To do what the Chachamim say, you're not allowed to go up to the Harabayit. You go to the mikveh, you clean yourself properly, you're playing Russian roulette. A person goes up to the Harabayit, if he doesn't go to the mikveh first, and if he didn't clean his nails or comb his hair properly, it's like he didn't do anything. It's like eating on Yom Kippur. But no, I'm going to be a starker. I'm going to show. We have Munas Chachamim. Most of the rabbis say you're playing Russian roulette if you go up to the Harabayit. Who's going to check whether you dunked properly?
The High Court.
The High Court is going to watch you whether you dunked properly. They're high there, they're watching you dunk. Who's watching you dunk properly? If you don't go up to them.
When you can go to the Kotel, when you can't go to the Kotel, when you can go to Arabai, when you can't go to the Arabai.
But today, when we should wait. Shechina loizaz mi kotel hamaravi. The Gemara in Yuma says that the Shechina now is at the Kotel. The Gemara says it. So what? I know better. The Gemara says the Shechina is now on the Kotel, not on Harabayit.
Good.
But don't confuse me with the facts. I want to show that I'm a starker. Right? Again, the arrogance. Who are the rabbis? So the rabbis said, don't go. I know better than the rabbis. The height of arrogance, Hashem should give us seichel, chochma bina das, to listen to the chachamim, to have a little humility, Shabbat Shalom and Barach. Thank you very much.